Champions Cup pool stage is wrapped up today, and we now have the draw for the round of 16. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. Okay, so that is the pool stages done. Some big results over the weekend, especially in terms of the scores, but also some big movements from teams as well, in terms of who qualified, etc. for the round of 16. So in this video, what we're going to do is going to go quickly down through the results from the weekend by pool, have a look at the standings of the pools after those, then look as well at the rules again, just in terms of how the teams are ranked at the end and how the draw was made for the round of 16. Then a look at the ranking from 1st to 24th in terms of all of the teams that were in the Champions Cup this year and what each band means. And then finally we'll look at what the round of 16 draw is as well. Okay, so we're going to start, as I said, with the results from the weekend. So from Pool 1, first up we had Ulster 52, Exeter 24. So you see there beside each team, they have the placing in the pool, or the ranking in the pool that they were going into this weekend. Okay, so before these games, so Ulster were in 5th and Exeter in 6th, and you can see all the way down. I won't go through them all, but you can, if you want, you can kind of pause there and see which teams kind of moved up and which teams moved down over the weekend as well. So next in that one, the two big results from today. Bordeaux-Bègles 66, Hollywood Sharks 12, and Toulouse 80. That's 80. Leicester Tigers 12. That's just crazy. Seeing some big scores up at half time by teams, including the Lions against Edinburgh right this year in the URC. They were 40 odd points up at half time, but Edinburgh kind of came back a little bit in the second half, but Toulouse just absolutely kept the foot on the neck there all the way through. Like 80 points is just crazy to put on a team like Leicester as well. No, Leicester aren't at the level that they used to be, but they're still, they're not like a terrible side. At this level it really shouldn't be happening, but just shows how good Toulouse are, I think. On to Pool 2 then. It was Clermont Auvergne 33, Bristol Bears 26, Benetton Rugby 32, La Rochelle 25. Another big result from the weekend. Benetton beating the champions of 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and also they beat the leaders of their premiership as well. And that's a Benetton team that came into this tournament on a very bad run of form. Like all season they've been terrible. Leinster then 47, Bath 21 as well. On to then Pool 3. So it was the Vodacom Bulls 48, Stade Francais 7. So the Bulls' best performance right at the end, and they were the Bulls' only team that went into this round with absolutely no chance of making the round of 16. And it's a pity, because you can see if they needed a result to qualify, they would have gotten it. It's just decisions that they made earlier on in the tournament, and also performances as well, meant that they were just in that position at the end. Then Northampton Saints 34, Munster 32. Absolutely stonking game, brilliant game of rugby that. And that one, the Ulster game and the Leinster game, I have reviews up on the channel if you want to go and hear a little bit more about those. Then Saracens 24, Castres Olympique 32. So another big result from the weekend there. That was from today. Then on to Pool 4, Harlequins 24, Glasgow Warriors 7. Warriors ending what was up to then a very good pool performance, with probably definitely their worst result of the pool stages. Racing 92, 31, DHL Stormers 22. So Racing kind of bookending their pool journey with two decent performances and being terrible in the middle themselves. Then Sale Sharks 33, and RC Toulon 7. So another like crazy results at the end. Like Toulon, look like potentially they could be number 2 seeds going into the round of 16, and then they just didn't perform in that game. It's a real pity as well, because it felt like that win against Glasgow Warriors really gave them the chance to get a really good seeding and maybe go deep into the tournament. It's obviously not over by any stretch of the imaginations yet, but would have expected them to do better in that game. But you can see there as well, you got a summary of the pools. We're going to look at them in a bit more depth in terms of just what the official numbers are, etc. But you can see like a snapshot of them there. And again, I think it's good if you want to pause the video, you can kind of see where teams kind of moved, over this last round and who really did kind of, pull it out of the bag in the end. Next, then we are going to have a look at the pools. So let me pull those up on the official site. So we're going to start pool 1. So you got Bordeaux-Bègles, number 1 that pool, the only team to go like perfect basically through the whole pool stages. 4 wins and 4 try bonus points as well for 20 points. Then Toulouse, the second best performing team actually over the entire pool stages. 4 wins and 3 try bonus points for 19 points. Then Leicester Tigers, 2 wins out of 2 and 11 points. Ulster then 4th place there, and just about getting in, and you can see like 1 win, 5 points, and Hollywoodbets Sharks 1 win, 5 points, but Ulster minus 61, better than minus 87, and they progressed on points difference. Exeter Chiefs then one of the few teams not to win a game, and they got themselves a try bonus point. Pretty sure that was in the game against Ulster, right? And because the 2 of them were on 0 points coming into this one, so at least avoided the ignominy of finishing the pool with 0 points. On to pool 2, then you got Leinster Rugby there. 4 wins out of 4 for them for 18 points. La Rochelle second, 2 wins out of 2 for 11 points, but only just staying ahead of Benetton on points difference, 23 to minus 26. So Benetton 2 out of 2 and 11 points as well. Clermont Auvergne then 2 out of 2 for 10 points. And then down at the bottom there, then you have Bath Rugby and Bristol Bears, both with 1 win each and 7 points. And if you looked at the at the previous section that we looked at, you'd see that both of those teams before this round were actually in 3rd and 4th place in this pool as well. So big turnaround there. On to pool 3 then, Northampton Saints leading the way there, 3 wins out of 4 and 16 points. Castres Olympique, and came from 4th place all the way up to 2nd with that win over Saracens at the weekend. 3 wins out of 4, 14 points. Munster Rugby, 2 wins out of 2, and probably that game against Castres really is where it made the difference between them, being home or away in the round of 16. I don't think it was really the game against Northampton Saints, although obviously they could have won that, but that was a fantastic game. 12 points for them. Saracens then, 2 wins out of 2, 11 points. Then the Bulls in 5th place, 1 win and 5 points. And Stade Francais 1 win, 5 points in 6th place. On to the final pool then, pool 4. So Toulon, 3 wins out of 4 and 13 points. But, even though they did lose, like Glasgow had already lost anyway, so they knew, whatever result happened against Sale, that they were going to top the pool anyway. Glasgow 2 wins out of 2, showed some good signs in the pool, but some frailties as well, that, not going to be good for them, in terms of wanting to go further into the tournament, but they're on 12 points. 3rd then, Sale Sharks, 2 wins out of 2 as well, or 2 wins and 2 losses, 2 wins out of 4, obviously. I think I've been saying 2 wins out of 2. I meant 2 wins, 2 losses. 10 points for them. Harlequins, 2 wins, 2 losses, 9 points. Racing 92 then, 2 wins, 2 losses, 9 points. And, points difference 31 for Harlequins and 12 for Racing. And when you think back to the opening round of the pool, Racing beat Harlequins comfortably. And it was that middle 2 games that they had, that really, was not good for them. Would have been against Glasgow. No, it was against. Sorry, yeah, was it Glasgow and the Stormers? I think it was. Let me just double check that. My old man brain again. Who did? Oh, no, they beat the Stormers the weekend. So it was Glasgow and Sale. So those 2 middle games against Glasgow and Sale really didn't, give them the best chance to qualify. Then the Stormers there at bottom of the pool and 1 win out of 4 and 5 match points. And Stormers, especially all of the South African teams really in the pool stages pretty disappointing, but Stormers especially, given you look at their record in the URC, champions the first year, beaten finalists the second year, made the playoffs the year after, and I was hoping that we'd kind of see South African teams kind of progressing this year. Obviously not going to happen now, and it's a real kind of disappointment for me as well, because a lot of people have said these guys shouldn't be in this competition, and they're just giving more kind of ammunition to the people who are saying that, given the fact that none of them qualified for the round of 16. But at least I guess for any of the teams in there, the good things, especially from the countries that were complaining about it, the good thing is none of them have to go to South Africa for the round of 16 game. Now we're going to have a look quickly at the rules as well, that how the teams were sorted for the in the pools, and then for the round of 16 as well. So in the pool stages, first of all, teams ranked by match points, obviously, and then if they're equal, next is the best aggregate points difference, and after that it is the number of tries scored, and finally then if everything is equal, it's drawing by lots. Then the round of 16, pretty simple. They rank each of the teams from 1 to 16, and they kind of do it in pots, right? So you've got all the pool winners, first of all, are in pot 1, so they're ranked 1 to 4. Then second place ranked 5 to 8. Then third place ranked 9 to 16. And then finally the fourth pot is ranked 13 to 16. And then the first 2 pots, so 1 to 4 and 5 to 8, are the home teams for the round of 16. And then just pair them off basically against, you can see it there, the best team against the worst team, right? So 1 versus 16, 2 15, 3 versus 14, 4 13, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, and 8 versus 9. So those are how they ranked them. And what we'll do now is we'll have a look at how the overall ranking was for the competition this year. So you can see there, top of the pile is Bordeaux-Bègles on 20 points. Then next, Leinster Rugby on 18, Northampton Saints on 16, and RC Toulon on 13. So you can see as well there, there's only of those pool winners, only 2 teams had a perfect record in terms of wins, and Bordeaux-Bègles, the only team in the competition with a perfect record in terms of wins and try bonus points. We can see as well, Toulon there with 13 points. If it wasn't ranked by pool first, or pool position first, then they would have been another couple of spots down the rankings. It was just by points, but also by the same token that Toulouse would have been ranked second and Leinster would have been third. But yeah, that's our top 4. So those are the teams, in terms of the quarterfinals, that if they win through the round of 16, they're going to be the teams that are at home in the quarterfinals. And then the 1-2 there, Bordeaux-Bègles and Leinster, they're the teams that, if they get to the semi-final, and it's a big if, but if they both get to the semi-final, they will both have home country advantage. So it's not home, home stadium advantage. It's home country advantage for the semi-final. So Bordeaux would probably play theirs, in the home stadium, or, maybe like, is the soccer stadium there bigger than their rugby stadium? They might play it there. And Leinster probably play theirs at the Aviva, unless somehow they could get Croke Park for a big game. But yeah, normally that has to be scheduled like years in advance, I think. But yeah, that's how it is for the home teams. Then if we look at the teams that qualified but are going to go away, so top of the bunch there is Munster on 9. Munster on 12 in 9th. Then Leicester Tigers on 11. Benetton Rugby on 11 as well, but with a worse points difference. So they're ranked below Leicester. Sale Sharks then with 10. Kind of rounds out that little section there of the third place teams. And then onto the fourth place team. So you have Saracens with 11 points, Clermont Auvergne with 10, Harlequins with 9, and Ulster Rugby with 5. And if you look down the teams below them in the rankings, again, if it had been on points, Racing 92, Bath Rugby, and Bristol Bears all would have been ahead of them. And then also, if you look at it, on points difference as well, you would have had the Bulls and the Stormers ahead of them also. So, I won't say that they're lucky, because it's not like it's something that just happened, that this is the format. This has been the format for the last couple of years. So, but you look at that and you think, well, with the performance they put in any other pool, they probably wouldn't have made it, to this stage. Then the next group, 17 to 20, these are the teams that are actually going to drop down to the Champions or Challenge Cup. So Racing 92 on 9 points, Bath Rugby on 7, Vodacom Bulls on 5, and Hollywoodbets Sharks on 5. And then finally, then 21 to 24, these are the teams that are now eliminated from European competition. And some coaches might say now they're going to focus on the domestic league or wherever, coaches say when their team gets eliminated. But you got Bristol Bears on 7, DHL Stormers on 5, Stade Francais on 5, and Exeter Chiefs on 1. So Exeter Chiefs, bottom of the pile overall, and only for the fact that they got, and I think they got that, pretty sure they got the bonus point try very late on, because Ulster were trying to get another try themselves, to help them in that battle against the Sharks. Because remember, they only qualified ahead of the Sharks on points difference, minus 61 to minus 87. And I'm pretty sure Exeter only got that try because Ulster were trying to push for another try, and then they kind of got a breakaway to score themselves. Yeah, Ulster were throwing the ball around in their own 22, right, trying to run it, and then it hit someone, dropped on the ground, and Exeter were in for a score. But also, interestingly, between Ulster and the Sharks, right, at one point in the game between Bordeaux-Bègles and the Sharks, the score was 40 points to 12. And if it had stayed that way, it meant that it was minus 28 for the Sharks, and it would have meant that they were both Ulster and the Sharks were on minus 61 points difference. So then it would have gone to tries scored, and Ulster still would have qualified on tries scored. So it wouldn't have gotten to the point where, because the next step after that, let's say Ulster had only scored 10 tries overall, and the same as the Sharks, then it would have actually gone to drawing lots between the teams. And I honestly don't know how that works. Is this something where, like, it's happened, so let's immediately do it? Or is it like, it's set for a future date, like sometime during the week or something to do a draw or whatever. And then like representatives of both clubs have to be there. You'd imagine that it'd probably be something like that, right? Representatives of both clubs would probably have to be there. Independent adjudicator, kind of like watching them draw the lotto numbers or something, or like the pools for the World Cup. Although like with that, well, in rugby at least, it's kind of all settled beforehand, right? But yeah, you've got like very close between those two, and it would have been crazy for it to come down to drawing lots. But yeah, that's the the overall standings, from top to bottom. If you want to kind of pause it and have a look at it, you can there as well. But now we're going to move on to the round of 16 draw itself. So, again, you got the rankings beside the teams. So you can see like it's 1 versus 16, 2, 15, etc. all the way down. So the first draw is Bordeaux-Bègles versus Ulster Rugby. So Ulster's reward for scraping their way out of this pool is to play the team that hockeyed them in the Kingspan up there at Ravenhill, and to actually have to go away to them as well. So that's a big ask for Ulster. They're a young side, and I think they've got a year or two, I think, certainly of development ahead of them before they can be competitive in around a 16 fixture, I think, especially against a team like Bordeaux. Then Leinster, sorry, why do I keep calling my own team Leicester? I'm an idiot. But Leinster versus Harlequins, Quins, the type of team that they never kind of feel like they're beaten, if you know what I mean. They always give it a go, and they have that ability to score and burst as well, which means that if Leinster build up a lead, whereas against some teams heads might drop, and they might it might just kind of be a cruise mode for Leinster, but Harlequins have that ability to score and burst, and they do that at the start, kind of the way Bath did yesterday, and then have another burst later on as well. That could be a very interesting fixture too. Then we have Northampton Saints versus Clermont Auvergne. This one kind of like a throwback to the time when these two were some of the biggest teams in this competition. Around the same time that Munster were kind of winning their titles as well. Then we have Toulon and versus Saracens again. If you go back kind of, when was it, like when Johnny Wilkinson was at Toulon, right? So are we going back, I don't know, 7 years or around then, like 5-7 years, when these two teams were probably the two, forces in Europe as well. Next, then you have Toulouse versus Sale. So Toulouse, always a force in Europe. There's very rarely, a poor Toulouse side in the Champions Cup. And, going against a Sale Sharks team who will just see it as like a shot to nothing. I think, nobody will give them any chance at all of going over there and winning. And I'm sure they'll give it their best shot, but most people will expect Toulouse to win that one comfortably. Then we have Castres Olympique versus Benetton Rugby, which is kind of an interesting one because like Benetton's two kind of, victories and two decent performances have come at home in this one. And again, this year haven't been in great, form. Castres, not brilliant. Like they could have been beaten at home by Ulster. So if Benetton show up, they could cause an upset, but they haven't shown anything on the road this year in the URC or in this competition to really kind of indicate that could happen. But by the time these fixtures come around, maybe that's going to change. And then next time we have Glasgow Warriors versus Leicester Tigers. So Leicester coming off the back of that absolute, stomping they got, 80 points to 12 by Toulouse. Glasgow, started the pool very well, and then kind of faded away towards the end. So, for them, like they already had the, they knew they'd get a home draw before this round of fixtures as well. So maybe that played into the performance against, it was a Sale, right, in the end. But, you hope now that they can kind of deliver in this one, because Leicester will kind of look at Glasgow as somewhere they can go and potentially, get a win away from home in around a 16 game. Glasgow, it's going to depend really. Are they going to, like, the team that turns up? Is it going to be the team that won the URC last year and is doing really well in the URC, or is it a team that has kind of struggled to progress deep into this competition in the past? So I think for Glasgow, this is a big test for them to make that next step up now. They've claimed the trophy. Now they want to kind of mix it with the big boys, and to do that, you're at home and around a 16. You would expect to be winning the game, so you got to deliver on that one. And then finally, one of the biggest draws at around, La Rochelle, 8th seed versus Munster Rugby, the 9th seed. So you got Ronan O'Gara, Munster legend, coach of La Rochelle, and even at the La Rochelle Leinster game, there were lots of flags in the crowd that had kind of La Rochelle on one side and Munster on the other side. So be interesting to see how things go there. I'm sure it'll be a bit of a love fest. And that one, you would expect, kind of being at home, that La Rochelle could win it. Munster, they are the or they're kind of had a poor season so far, but it felt like the last few games now they're starting to develop. The attack is starting to click as well, and potentially there is the possibility, especially given how La Rochelle performed in the pool overall. Would have expected kind of more from La Rochelle, especially going away to Benetton and losing as well. It's kind of feels like, and again, top 14 form not great. So Munster will see that as a potential again. But I think you look at the bulk of the teams there that are away, they'll all kind of feel like they have some kind of chance. Some of them will be kind of like the likes of Ulster, will be thinking that like themselves have a chance, but probably everybody else will be writing them off, honestly. But then you look at other ones again, the likes of Leicester at Glasgow, Munster at La Rochelle, Benetton, Castres, even Quins against Leinster, Saracens away to Toulon, and maybe like Clermont against Northampton Saints, maybe. The only two I can see there that I would say are nailed on really are the best two teams for me from the pool stages, which is Bordeaux-Bègles and Toulouse. They would be real shocks. But the other games, some of them to some extent would be shocks. Others would be just, people would almost be predicting away wins in some of these, I think. But very interesting draw there. And let me just confirm. Let me go on to the official site and confirm when these fixtures are actually taking place. It just says TBC, TBD. But let me see if it's actually in the rules, because the rules normally tell you when all this stuff kind of is supposed to happen. So it'll at least tell me the weekend that's supposed to go, right? The quarterfinal, or no, round of 16. No, it doesn't say when. But it's normally we're into kind of domestic, and then we're into Six Nations, and then we're going to come back. So it's obviously going to be after the Six Nations. After the Six Nations, then we'll be back then for the round of 16, and things can have changed drastically in between now and then as well. But for me, in terms of when it changed, when this competition changed from the old Heineken Cup to the now Champions Cup, and there was all different formats and wherever. This year, honestly, for the pool stages has been the most exciting for me. Don't know how it's been for everyone else, but yeah, for me, I really got into the pool stages this time, and I'm kind of seeing, again, the heart and nostalgia or whatever always kind of puts the old format up on a pedestal, but I'm definitely seeing more benefits. And it's kind of winning me around at the moment. And I said it previously as well, probably means then that they're ready to change it again completely soon, right? And just bring in some other format that everybody hates. But yeah, it's really good kind of round of 16 fixtures there as well. As I said, so many, I think, potentially tight games out of that. But that's it for me. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments.